Hello students, welcome to lesson 9, multiplicative comparisons, area and perimeter. And today is Wednesday, September 16th. Our learning targets or I can statements for the day. I can solve problems involving the area and perimeter of rectangles by applying my knowledge of factors and multiples. Our essential questions remain the same as they have been for the entire unit thus far. Unit 2. How can patterns within the number system help solve problems? How are numbers related to each other? Problem of the day. Find all the possible factors of 24. Make rectangles and write the corresponding multiplication equation inside. Example, 1 times 24 is one possible factor for that. So what I want you to do is go ahead and we're going to work this inside of your notebook, inside of your math notebook. You're going to find all the possible factors of 24. One has been provided for you right here. I want you to find any other ones, draw the little rectangle, and I want you to write the equation inside. So we're going to pause for a few minutes, give you an opportunity to work on that. Okay, so some of the answers that you should have come up with for that one, other than our 1 times 24 is 24 right here, you should have a rectangle written for 3 times 8 equals 24. 3 times 8 equals 24. Also, 4 times 6 equals 24. 4 times 6 equals 24. And also, 1 times 24 equals 24. Just like we have right here. Okay? So, there are a total of 4. You should have 4 rectangles for this one. Area and perimeter. What do you remember about area and perimeter? So far in this unit, we've learned about factors, multiples, multiplicative comparisons, and throughout the rest of this unit, we're going to be applying that knowledge to work with a new topic, area and perimeter. Now, you worked on, in the 3rd grade, area and perimeter also. What do you remember about area and perimeter from what you learned in the 3rd grade? And I want to pause for a minute and give you guys a chance to think about what did you learn and what do you remember about area and perimeter from the 3rd grade? So one of the things that you could be remembering is the fact that area shows how much space, like the interior, how much space a figure takes up, whereas the perimeter refers to the measurement around the outside of a particular figure. So the perimeter is the outside measurement, and the area is what's on the inside. So in this slide, we're going to practice making rectangles. So our first set of directions here is to make a rectangle with an area of 12 square units. So we're going to make a rectangle with an area of 12 square units. So actually we want to try to make as many as we can. So what we're going to do is it says click here and the arrow is pointing to this tools button. So we're going to click on here. It's going to take us to a different screen. It's going to take us to a different site where we can make the actual rectangles with the area of 12 square units. And the way that we do that is you're going to just drop and drag. So you got to click on a color, whichever one you choose, and you're going to drag it. And you're trying to make with an area of 12 square units. So our first one here, 3, 4, 1, and I'm just dropping and dragging. So I'm just picking colors here. You can choose whatever colors that you like. Just dropping and dragging. And remember, it has to be 12 square units total. And I've just completed one, and this one would be considered a 3 by 4. There's 3 rows and there's 4 in each row. So we got three rows and there's 4 in each row, and our total area is 12. So this is one example. There are other ones for the area 12, and I want you to work on the other ones for the area of 12. And this is an example of what you could have made. Of course, this is my 3 by 4 right here. And right here, this has a perimeter of 12 units. So this is a perimeter of 12, and this shows an area of 12. What do you notice about this? Our next slide is an exercise about planting a garden. So today we're going to be exploring area and perimeter a little bit more, and we're going to be doing that by planting a garden. Okay, so for this exercise, we're going to take about 15 minutes for you to actually work on it. And as always, when you see the little red help button right here, you can click on it and it'll give you video instructions on how this exercise works. Now, this is an assignment that's going to be on Jamboard, and your teacher has assigned you a Jamboard exercise assignment for planting the garden. So you're going to go to that Jamboard exercise, and we're going to have further instructions there. So for planting a garden, the Jamboard exercise, when you go to your Google Classroom, this is what it looks like when you click on it. The instructions are up here in the far left. Mr. Davis has hired your team of landscape architects to complete a rectangular garden with a fence around it. The fence around his garden will use 40 feet of fencing. He wants to have more than 80 square feet of area inside the fence. Can you help him to create a model of his garden? So we want to show basically you are building rectangles that fits the dimensions here. So the fence around will have 40 feet. So when we talk about what's around it, we're talking about the perimeter, and in the inside, the area, it has to have more than 80 square feet inside. So it has to be more than 80 square feet on the inside. And you're going to use the rectangular tool and the text tool to create your models. Use the rectangular tools and the text tools to create your models, and label your dimensions, area, and perimeter. So for rectangles, we're just going to come over here to the left, and you're going to click on the shape, and I've already got rectangle up. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead on and do, let's see, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's make sure I've got a 10 by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to drag this down just a little bit. 10. Okay, so what I've done here is one example that fits the criteria right here. So the fence around the garden has to use 40 feet. It can't be more or it can't be less. So what that means is around the outside, when you add up all the sides, it has to equal 40. So what I have here is I built a 10 by 10, and that means that there are 10 units right here, plus another 10, plus another 10, and another 10. They equal 40. Okay, and on the inside, it has to be greater than or more than 80. So on the inside, we know that this is going to be 100 because I know that 10 times 10 is 100. Okay. And I labeled it by bringing a text box over. So I just clicked on here and you drag and you draw a text box and I typed in to label it. So what I want you to do is to figure out as many as you can that fits the same criteria. And you can do it in other areas. So if we move on down on our slides, you'll see that we have a answer key. Okay, so these are all the answers that can go with our planting a garden exercise. And this is the one that I did with the original example that I gave you. It's a 10 by 10 by 10. And another one over here is the 11 by 9. And here you have a 6 by 14, 7 by 13, and an 8 by 12. So I want you to take a really good look at this, and you can go back and make any corrections to yours if you need to. So for one of our examples from the previous slide, or one of our answers rather, it gave us an answer of 8 by 12. Let's look at the connections here. You'll see that 8 and 12 are both factors of 96. And our inside area here is 96. And you'll also notice that, of course, they're both 96 is a multiple of both 8 and 12. So that means that 96 is a multiple of both 8 and 12. So the next 3 slides are going to be independent work for you to build rectangles. They're going to be independent work for you to build rectangles. And for instance, the first one says George wants to have an area of 24 square feet and needs a plan for his garden to begin planting. So at least 2 different rectangular gardens that he could create with an area of 22. So that's the inside area of 24 rather square feet. Be sure your models include labeled dimensions. So it has to be an area of 24. And as usual, when you see the little red help button right here, you can click on that and it'll give you detailed instructions again. But in order to draw your rectangle, you're going to need to go up here and click on shape. And so you take it and you come down and you draw whatever shape that you want. And what I want you to do is to label your shape. Label it by using the text box. Okay. And when you label it, you're going to be putting in whatever your dimensions are. You can put in whatever your dimensions are. It's going to be an equation. Okay. And again, you're doing that for the next 3 slides. So you got this one, and this one. And this one is explain how factors and multiples are related to areas. So you're going to actually type in sentence form and complete sentences an answer to that one. Okay. And our last slide here, you're gonna, for the independent work, of course, you gotta complete the previous 3 slides about area, perimeter, and multiples. And after you finish that, I want you to work on Dreambox. Remember, we have to finish at least 5 lessons by the end of the week.